In 2016, the movie Don't Breathe came out, a movie about three petty criminals who decided to rob an elderly old man who was blind. They knew he had a lot of money in his house and it would be an easy robbery, but the tables turned once they entered his home, and things turned deadly because the man was a Vietnam War veteran and he just started to kill one by one. Now, the director of the film, a man by the name of Fede Alvarez, he said it wasn't taken from any real life situations, that is simply something he came up with in his head and developed it into a movie. But the parallels between the movie and a real life situation that occurred is eerily similar, because in 2012, in a place called Little Falls, Minnesota, there was a man by the name of Byron Davis Smith, a Vietnam War veteran who was living in a quiet town, living a quiet life. But that peace would be disturbed because Byron's home started to get burglarized on a regular basis. He would contact the authorities, but they would never catch who did it. They took things like $3,000 cash. His father was a prisoner of war for a year, and they gave him a watch for making it through that. He passed it down to Byron. They took that watch. Byron himself was a Vietnam War veteran. They took his medals, coin collection, anything they could really get their hands on. And this really enraged him, and he wanted revenge. And plus, word around town is that it was two teenagers responsible for the string of burglaries that had happened, because multiple people's homes were being hit. So Byron decided to take matters into his own hands and set a trap to catch the two teens. But it wasn't a trap to just catch them and turn them over to authorities. He had something much more deadly in mind. He was setting a trap to end their lives. Everything would be set into motion on Thanksgiving Day, 2012, where Byron can be seen on his home surveillance footage, leaving his home, getting into his vehicle and driving away, looking as if he's going to spend Thanksgiving Day with his family. But there was something much more sinister going on in this video, because what he was really doing was hiding his vehicle to make it look as if nobody was at his home, because he knew the teenagers, they would be even more eager to rob his place one more time, as they had done multiple times before. He could be seen returning home not too long after hiding his vehicle. And that's when he would really put his plan into motion. He took out all the light bulbs in the house. He wanted it completely dark. He put a couch and a bookshelf in a view when you coming down the stairs so you wouldn't be able to see him, because he knew eventually the teens, they would make their way down there and he would have the opportunity to ambush them and do what he felt needed to be done. A teenage boy by the name of Nick Brady would be seen in the home surveillance footage at Byron's house, looking for ways to get inside the home. They usually would kick in a panel door, but Byron had got it fixed, and he also deadbolted the lock, so he couldn't get in that way. Eventually you will see him just breaking out a window and climbing through. And as he made his way through the dark house, Byron could hear his footsteps above. That's when he would ready his weapons, a rifle and a revolver. As Nick made his way down the basement stairs, his lower body was in view, and that's when Byron would take his rifle and shoot him twice in the hip, causing him to let out a loud cry of pain and falling down the steps. Once he fell, he looked up at Byron, and that's when he took his rifle and shot Nick in the face. He can be heard on audio saying, "You're dead." Byron then placed Nick's body on a tarp and drug it to a workshop area that he had. He then got himself back into position, ready to strike again, because he knew that it was two of them. And a few minutes later, Nick Brady's cousin, a teenage girl by the name of Haley Kiefer, she could be heard calling out for him, looking for him. And eventually, she makes her way to the basement as well. And when she's in view, Byron takes a shot at her, but he misses. But it startles her, so she falls down the steps. And when she falls, she looks up at Byron, and he has his rifle pointed right at her head. But it jams. He could be heard on audio saying, "Oh, I'm sorry about that." Then he pulls out his revolver, and Haley could be heard screaming, just saying, "Oh my God," repeatedly. Then he shoots her 4 times in the chest and places her on the tarp as well. He then drags her body in the workshop area too and places her next to her cousin, but she was still breathing. So what he did is he took the revolver, placed it under her chin, and pulled the trigger.
Oh, sorry about that. You're dying. Bitch. Cute. I'm sure she thought she was a real pro.
Now, you're probably wondering, why is there audio to such a tragic situation? Well, Byron Davis Smith, he thought it would be a good idea to record this whole encounter.
They weren't human. I don't see them as human. I see them as vermin.
He didn't contact the police until the next day after he told a neighbor. And when asked why he didn't tell nobody about the situation, he said it's because he didn't want to bother anybody on Thanksgiving Day. And once the police got him into the interrogation room, it was clear that this was a man detached from reality. They asked him, if you just wanted to protect your home, why did you shoot them so many times? He told them about shooting Nick Brady in the face. And they asked about the girl, the headshot. Why after shooting her 4 times in the chest, you also shoot her in the head? And he called it a good, clean finishing shot. Wow, man. And on April 29th, 2014, Byron Davis Smith was sentenced to life in prison on 2 counts of first-degree murder. And the parallels between this true, tragic, real story and the movie Don't Breathe are undeniable, in my opinion. And it's very sad and it's very tragic losing 2 young people that way. And Nick Brady, he was only 17 years old. And Haley Kiefer, she was only 18 years old. Rest in peace to them both.